Saludos, saludos, NHCLC familia. My name is Girien Salazar. On behalf of the Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, I want to invite you or welcome you to the Lamb's Agenda Oil weekly show on the issues that are important to the Hispanic evangelical community: life, religious liberty, and biblical justice. Again, I said my name is Girien Salazar, and today we're going to be talking about two recent interviews that Reverend Samuel Rodriguez had on CBN and BBC. We're going to discuss what those interviews are about, but also talk about what NHCLC is going to be doing 2020 and beyond, and regarding advancing the Lamb's agenda. So why don't we go ahead and jump into those interviews with Reverend Rodriguez? And this first one we're going to watch is from an interview on the election night, and he has an interview with Pat Robertson on CBN. So let's go ahead and watch this interview together.
We have right now with us a key man. He's Pastor Samuel Rodriguez. He's president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. And Samuel, let me ask you, why are the Latinos in Florida responding so well to the president?
Hey, Pat, let me tell you this, Pat. Let me tell you this, Pat. Here's where we're at right now. At least 38% of Latinos. George W. Bush took 44% of the vote, of the Latino vote in 2004. We haven't seen these numbers since George W. Bush in 2004. This is 38% at least. Latinos in Florida, not just in Florida, but in Texas. I would argue now Arizona, even in Pennsylvania, from Reading all the way down to Allentown, Lancaster 222 route, Latinos have just emerged as America's firewall against socialism.
I want to pause right there just to reference Samuel Rodriguez's language right there, but just that his reference to the Latinos have emerged as America's firewall against socialism has huge implications, and we're going to see those implications, and we see them annotated in New York Times. We see them later in another interview discussed by BBC. We see them in an AP voter poll following the election, and we'll see that Latinos grew in support for the conservative presidential candidate. But we're also going to see and notice that at the same time, a huge portion of the Latino evangelical community, those who are from the charismatic backgrounds or from evangelical backgrounds, those Hispanic evangelicals came out in large support for President Trump. And it wasn't necessarily for President Trump, it was for the issues that are important to our community, which are life, religious liberty, and biblical justice. Let's continue with Reverend Samuel Rodriguez's interview.
Latinos just said no to socialism because we know Venezuela, Nicaragua, Bolivia, Cuba. Latinos know what the outcomes of socialism are. So Latinos just said no. The Hispanic community in America just emerged as the antidote to AOC's socialism, Bernie Sanders' socialism, the hard left socialism agenda. But it's not just socialism. Why do Latinos in Miami turn? It's not just socialism. It's late-term abortion. Latinos are the most pro-life community in America, according to Pew Research. So because this idea, this democratic obsession with abortion on demand, including late-term abortion, that's why Latinos gave Florida to President Trump. And we said no to the riots. No to socialism, no to late-term abortion, no to the riots, that's anarchy, and no to the perpetual lockdowns. You're going to see that this is the first day where the Republican Party, the conservative movement, just placed an engagement ring on the Latino community. We're not married yet, but it's the beginning of an interesting journey.
The truth is that Latinos make up about 16 to 17% of the total population. African Americans about 14%. So you're not the largest. I mean, you're the second.
Let's go ahead and pause it right there, and we
group
continue picking up on what Reverend Rodriguez is saying. Hispanics came out and they said no to socialism. They said no to abortion on demand. They said no to the riots. And it isn't necessarily coming out vocally, but considering the person that we supported at the polls. And I think this is something that we need to reconsider and understand about the Hispanic evangelical community, the Latino community. Even though we might have historically, or people would associate us with a particular political party, Reverend Rodriguez talks about it. We are not married to a political party. We are married to some of the important values that we hold dear, and that's life, that's religious liberty, that's biblical justice, that's ensuring that we come out and we represent our faith at the poll box. Let's continue the interview. There's a couple more minutes. I want to listen to more of what they have to say.
The country, you're not the largest. I mean, you're the second largest ethnic group in the country. And when I look at the states, and you go all the way across the board, when you go from Florida, and you go to Texas, and you go to New Mexico, and you go to Nevada, and you go all the way across, this is going to be the most powerful voting group besides maybe the evangelicals who will all be working together. Go ahead.
Pat, keep an eye on Nevada. Keep an eye on Nevada.
Let's pause right there, and even this is a declaration, and even something that is an admission of Pat Robertson. He notices that the Hispanic voting bloc has been emerging as a powerful voting bloc, as somebody that candidates and parties have been trying to influence, have been trying to gain the support of. And he notices here, and even more so in this election, the importance of the Hispanic vote has even more pronounced than ever before. And we saw that in your reference to Dade County, Miami, and Florida. And you'll see that across different states, how the Hispanic evangelical vote, the Latino vote, came out and they voted on the issues that were important. Now, there was still a majority that voted for the Democrat, but when you look at the Hispanic evangelical bloc, the majority of the Hispanic evangelical bloc voted for Republican candidate. Let's continue and watch a few more seconds of this interview.
We have an incredible amount of evangelical Latino churches in Nevada, mega churches. Matter of fact, the president attended one of our churches, one of our pastors recently. Keep an eye on Nevada. And again, Pennsylvania. From Reading, from Lancaster, all the way to my home city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where I was raised. There are a bunch of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans who attend Bible-believing churches. So because of this anti-socialism, this let's defend life in the womb and out of the womb, this commitment to limited government, and this pushback on the riots, you're going to see Latinos, I would argue, Latinos may very well be the reason why President Trump will once again emerge as president of the United States.
Let's go on now to another interview from Reverend Rodriguez, now on the BBC, that he had just recent days. And they acknowledge in this interview the importance of the Hispanic evangelical vote, the importance of the Latino vote in general, and the importance of the issues that we have been promoting for the past, the NHC has been promoting these for the past few years, but more particularly during this election season: life, religious liberty, and biblical justice. Let's watch this interview on BBC with Reverend Rodriguez discussing the Lamb's agenda.
The early results saw Florida stay in the Trump camp, and his victory there seems to have been propelled by Latino voters, many families of Cuban or Venezuelan exiles. And one of those who campaigned to get Latinos to vote for Mr. Trump is the Reverend Samuel Rodriguez. Now, he's the president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. It's an association of 42,000 Latino congregations in America, and he prayed at President Trump's inaugural ceremony and backed him in this election. And he joins us now live from St. Louis in Missouri. Thank you very much for your time. So you managed to get Florida and the Latino community there to support President Trump. But just explain to us why you are so supportive of Mr. Trump.
Now, what you're going to notice here is, one off the bat, Reverend Rodriguez, the NHCLC, our support is not of a candidate. Our support are of the issues that the candidate represents or that the candidate defends, and you're going to hear him discuss that momentarily. But I want you also to notice the admission BBC attributing the NHCLC, Hispanic evangelicals, with coming out and voting and making a difference on election day. Let's watch the rest of this interview.
I'm supportive of policies. I'm supportive of policies that speak to building a firewall against socialism. One of the primary reasons why Latinos, which by the way represent, in my opinion, the most measurable outcome of this election, is a massive electoral shift of the second largest ethnic group in America, Latinos, voting for President Trump. That's pretty amazing. And it's saying no to socialism. The Latino vote has now emerged as the quintessential firewall against the advancement of
the quintessential firewall against the advancement of socialism. Many of our grandparents, parents, cousins have come from countries that have been impacted by socialistic policies. people from Venezuela, and you can listen to other countries, but Cuba. But these are something that we've wrestled with. These are issues that we've wrestled with, that our communities wrestle with. These are issues that have impacted our community. These are reasons why many people have come to the United States to escape those kind of policies, to escape that kind of agenda, because they want to be able to provide for their family. They want to be able to come and worship freely. They want to be able to come and not have government controlling the majority of their lives. And so that is an important aspect to consider during this election, and something to consider going forward.
Socialism in America. So I support that. A firewall. I mean, we come from Venezuela, Bolivia, Nicaragua, Cuba. We know what socialism looks like firsthand. The second thing is Latinos have a strong faith ethos. Very pro-life. According to Pew Research, we're the most pro-life community in America. And the Democratic Party left the reservation. It's no longer the party of Barack Obama of 2008. It's the party of late-term abortion. And Latinos went, wait a minute, that's a bridge too far. That's why Latinos gave Florida to President Trump.
And that's an important issue, and it's been important for me and for many of the pastors that I speak with, many of the faith leaders and lay leaders in our congregations, is the issue of late-term abortion. It just seemed maybe 3 or 4 years ago we were able to compromise and talk about different discussions and talking about reasons why someone might get an abortion, but now there's almost an entire the Democrat Party has almost gotten out of those conversations of compromise. They no longer want to deal with compromise, but they're talking about late-term abortion, talking even about abortion, even the unsuccessful abortions after the baby's out of the womb, and what rights the mother has to determine whether or not that baby continues to leave the doctor as well. And so those are issues that remain salient to our community.
Really compare what is happening to in the countries that you mentioned, that level of socialism and communism in some, to what, say, Democrats are suggesting?
Sure you can, of course. It's an ideological continuum. If you're a student of history, it begins with the notion of simplistic, nuanced socialism, of big government entitlement, multi-generational government entitlement, putting a lid on one's giftings and abilities and entrepreneurship, free enterprise, free markets. And that evolves into Chavez, Maduro, Fidel Castro. That evolves into socialistic regimes with Marxist and communist tendencies. And it's secular totalitarianism. It's an infringement upon freedoms and rights, as currently many of my fellow Venezuelans, beautiful people in Venezuela, are currently experiencing. So, yeah.
And I think it's important to note, too, that we had a presidential candidate that said that in the name of science, that in the name of safety, the government had the right to close churches. The government had the right to prevent you from gathering in your home with fellow believers. And that's verifiable. I mean, you could go and look that up, and we've got that even documented. But to suggest that that can happen, take place in America, is something we need to understand and consider, that is coming from a particular party, a particular group, a particular ideology. Let's continue.
Yes, Latino electoral shift of the second Latinos voting for strong faith ethos. Very pro-life, according to Pew Research. We're the most pro-life.
Let me go ahead and forward a little bit here.
And the Democratic, sure you can, of course. It's ideological and entrepreneurship, free enterprise, free markets, and that evolves into Chavez, Maduro, Fidel Castro. That evolves into socialistic regimes with Marxist and communist tendencies. And it's secular totalitarianism. It's an infringement upon freedoms and rights, as currently many of my fellow Venezuelans, beautiful people in Venezuela, are currently experiencing. So yes, Latinos are afraid of socialism. Therefore, they said, yeah, we're going to go with President Trump and the Republican agenda. And I don't think it's an anomaly. I think it's the beginning. Unless the Democratic Party in America has a come-to-Jesus moment regarding socialism and late-term abortion, you may very well see the beginning of an engagement between Latinos and the conservative movement. I'm not saying marriage. I think the engagement ring is on the finger, and they're about to meet our parents.
Reverend Rodriguez, thank you so much for sharing your passion.
So again, we've talked about these two interviews that Pastor Reverend Rodriguez has had, BBC, on CBN, discussing and portraying Hispanic evangelicals as the firewall against socialism in America. And I believe that to be true. I believe that to be the case as well. But also noting Pew Research has identified us as the most pro-life voting bloc. And we believe in life. We cherish life. We celebrate life. That's something that we don't shy away from. And many of us and our families have family members who have 4, 5, 6 brothers and sisters, and we celebrate those kind of things. And so that's important to the Hispanic evangelical community, but it's important to us because it's important to God. God instructs us to be fruitful and multiply. The Lord instructs us to live in community, to cherish and to honor our mother and our father. And so family is a huge issue that we cannot just neglect and put to the side, especially when it comes to abortion. As we end our time together on the Lamb's Agenda, I want to share one more resource with you and just remind you of something that we have been promoting for the past few weeks, and that is Reverend Samuel Rodriguez's new book, From Survive to Thrive. And I want to encourage you to visit, and there's a link there in the description of this box, www.samuelrodriguezbooks.com. You can pre-order your copy of From Survive to Thrive. When you pre-order it before November 17th, you will get not only this book as a hard copy, but you'll also get an e-copy of this book sent directly to you. You'll get an e-copy of Pastor Sam's book, You Are Next, another book, Are You a Third Day Christian? And that's over $55 savings in retail value. So we want to encourage you to take advantage of this time to pre-order your copy of From Survive to Thrive. It is a powerful book that is teaching us how, not just through this pandemic, but in life in general, how we can do more than just survive and just crawl past the finish line, but we can thrive and we can run past the finish line to the glory of God. And so I want to encourage you, visit www.samuelrodriguezbooks.com, pre-order your print copy before November 17th. You'll get your free ebook From Survive to Thrive. You'll get a copy of You Are Next and Are You a Third Day Christian as ebook as well. I want to thank you so very much for your time with me today on the Lamb's Agenda, Oi. Thank you so very much for being an engaged citizen, not just in our citizenship in heaven, but citizenship here on earth and in America. We know that together we're going to advance the Lamb's Agenda, life, religious liberty, and biblical justice. And together we're going to change the world for the glory of God. Thank you for being a friend of the NHCLC. Thank you for being a partner of the NHCLC. Together, let's go change the world. God bless you.